Hey guys, welcome to PDHPE with Miss Power. Today we are joined by Kiara Meredith, who is a local surfer. Hi Kiara, thank you for joining us today.
Hi, no worries at all. Happy to be here.
Yeah, it's so good to see you. So can you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Yeah, my name is Kiara Meredith. I'm 21 years old and I'm a sponsored surfer for Rip Curl Australia. Currently at uni studying psychology, and I'm hoping to kind of work in that sports psychology kind of field. That's kind of where I want to go in the future.
Yeah, awesome. Can you tell us how you got into surfing?
I actually used to be a competitive dancer, and I remember being in the Stedford, and it was kind of after all the girls weren't showing up for like practices, and I was always there. And I was like, that's it. Don't want to do it anymore. I want to do something kind of outside that I only can rely on myself. And I was like, let's try surfing. And I kind of fell in love with it straight away. And then just kind of like came easy. So that was something that I just really enjoyed and kind of got pretty good at over the years. So yeah, that's kind of how I got into it, kind of fell into it.
Yeah, did you have any role models? Like, did your dad or your parents surf or siblings?
Yeah, so my dad surfed. That was kind of the only reason I knew what it was. I've got some pretty good role models now that I've met through surfing, like Brett Canellan. He was the guy that got attacked by a shark at Bombo a few years ago. He's just so positive, one of my probably biggest role models. I have another coach, Matt Griggs. He was a big role model. And then just obviously the professional girl surfers like Sally, Tyler, Carissa, and probably Steph Gilmore were all kind of the leading female influences for me through the years.
Yeah, wow, that's amazing. And what age were you when you got into competitive surfing?
So I started surfing when I was 9, kind of 9 or 10, and then I started in like the summer at the start of the year, and then I had my first comp at the end of the year. So kind of 9 or 10, I've been competing for like 10 years now.
Yeah, wow. Have you noticed a change in your surfing over the years, or like how you approach competitions?
Yeah, I think when I was younger, my surfing was a lot more technical. Now I kind of just surf to enjoy it, kind of just do what makes me happy, trying to work on my flow a little bit more so it's prettier to watch rather than more technical. Yeah. And just have fun with it, because I find when I'm having fun, that's when my surfing's at a peak anyway. So it's kind of what the aim is, just make everything fun, and you seem to do a lot better.
Yeah, cool. What age were you when you got sponsored by Rip Curl?
So I got sponsored by Rip Curl when I was 12, I'd probably say. So yeah, I've been on their team for nearly 10 years.
Wow.
I also was sponsored by Carve Visionaries. They're like eyewear. I got sponsored by them when I was probably 9 or 10, like very early on. Then I've got GP Surfboards. I've been riding his boards probably for 6 or 7 years now. And I'm also sponsored by Boost Mobile, and I've been on that team for about 4 years too. Yeah, so long-term kind of things.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's really good to have the support of those companies as well, backing you on your journey. Yeah. So when you got sponsored, did you find that there was a shift in your perception about girls in surfing?
I think just being in the competitive environment was something that kind of shifted my perspective. When I went to start working in a surf store, that's when my eyes really kind of got open to the difference in marketing kind of for male and female like branding, I guess. Like there's just a massive difference between the two genders, I think. The surf industry is definitely something that I think females are very sexualized in comparison to like the males. Like if you look at a campaign, say for bikinis, they're all just pretty girls on the beach kind of just standing there, where a board short campaign is like the boys are surfing and it's surf photos and them doing kind of all the active stuff that the girls are just as good at, but they don't get showcased in that kind of domain. And I think that's probably where the big difference kind of like hits you in the face, because it's just such a big difference between the two genders.
Yeah. And so how did that start coming into your like daily mindset when you were facing the competitions, or even just like your choices that you started to make, because you were sponsored at such a young age, 12, like you're just going into high school. So how did that sort of come into your everyday life?
It's a big, I think, issue, especially when I was younger, because you kind of pushed into an industry where you need to be advertising the bikinis, you need to be advertising this surf lifestyle. And I was very lucky that most of the promotion I kind of did was more surf based. But when you're in an environment where like you're surrounded by incredibly talented girls that are training just as hard, if not harder than you, you definitely start looking around and you'll be like, well, I don't look like them. Why is my body shape a little bit different? Like, people are built differently, but when you're that young, there's a lot of things that you just don't kind of think about. And I think being in a surf industry where it is very, very like bikinis, kind of like always at the beach, and especially now with social media, I feel like it's made it a lot worse, the kind of ideal body type. I think that stuff like that is just really hard to deal with at any age. But yeah, then when I kind of slowed my training and started into uni, that's when I saw a massive shift in my mentality from being kind of happy with what I looked like to going, oh, that little bit of flab wasn't there before, or my muscle tone's gone. And then you start comparing yourself to girls who are still training just as hard as they were at 13. And you're like, well, I don't look like that. And I had a lot of issues with looking in the mirror and being happy with what I saw. And I think that having such a, like, an upbringing in such a, like, environment that's just so beach orientated, it was really hard for me to make that shift from feeling fit and looking like an athlete to being more like average, I guess, and not training as much. And like, I had a really big struggle with body dysmorphia over the couple of years when I slowed my training. And it's something I still kind of struggle with now. Yeah.
For those listening that might not know what body dysmorphia is exactly, could you give a quick definition?
For me, I think body dysmorphia is when you kind of look at yourself and you see things that aren't really there, like, and it's just things that you really pick on, like little things that other people wouldn't even notice, but you look in a mirror and you're like, you're not happy with what you're looking at, and you just start really picking at the little things on your body that you really shouldn't be worrying about.
Yeah. And so how did this impact your surfing? Like, were you still competing?
Well, when I started uni, I kind of slowed off the competing just to try and focus on my degree a bit. And when I just felt like I lost all my strengths, I didn't look like I was strong. So therefore I didn't feel like I was strong. I kind of just took a step away from the whole surf scene. Like, I didn't even want to be anywhere near it, because obviously these girls I was comparing myself to are still training 7 days a week, 3 hours at least a day outside of the water, and then they've got water time. So I just kind of put myself in a little bit of a hole where I was like, I don't want to be around it. And I think that really kind of negatively impacted my relationship with the sport, just because I went from so long loving it and then to a point where I didn't feel like I looked the part anymore, or didn't fit the image that brands were looking for. But yeah, it really kind of impacted me wanting to surf or wanting to kind of even be at the beach. I kind of just took a complete step away from it.
Yeah. And what about outside of surfing? Did it have any social implications for you with like going out, like feeling comfortable in public, training in the gym, or if you were to do any exercise?
So I started kind of ordering t-shirts like 2 or 3 sizes too big, so they just fit baggy, so you couldn't really see like my body shape in them. My jeans were just like the real baggy ones. Started like getting on a scale way too much, just kind of like having an issue with like eating and stuff as well, just because obviously kind of body dysmorphia and eating kind of disorders kind of go hand in hand. But I was just really struggling. And then I'd like kind of not be going out. I lost a lot of kind of my friends, just pushed everybody away. But it's definitely coming out the other side. So it's starting to be a lot more positive. I have like a much healthier relationship with like food, and then a much healthier relationship with myself as well now.
So in speaking of coming out the other side, what sort of treatments have you sought out? Is there like a particular like person you spoke to, or what services did you access?
I have, she's a really good family friend of ours now, and she was kind of, we're at the beach one day and she kind of took a photo of me, and I was like, this photo is disgusting. Like, looked at myself and I was like, this is, and she was kind of my wake up call. She was like basically told me to be quiet and get over myself. Like, she's like, you need to be eating. And then she kind of sent me through like a guide, and I just kind of forced myself to eat the 3 meals a day. And then you add your snacks and you just kind of get that healthy relationship back with food. And she was a major, major kind of impactor on me kind of coming through and finding that healthy relationship with like training again. Like, I've started going back to the gym, I've started eating better. And I feel like it's just that one person made a big difference. And then obviously I did a lot of like Googling and stuff about stuff like things that can help with it. And yeah, it's a lot of it's a big mental thing rather than something physical. So you just kind of have to figure out that you are being silly, and then once you kind of put your finger on that, you can work through it and try and find things that work for you. So for me, it was that family friend that kind of was like, eat your food. And she was checking in on me kind of every day, making sure I was eating, making sure I was like eating more for the training I was doing, just to kind of balance it out.
Yeah.
And now I've kind of realized that, yeah, having a healthy relationship with food and also a very healthy relationship with yourself is so important in issues like this.
Yeah. Is there any daily practices that you do to help you start your day, or like if you're having a bit of a bad moment where you can sort of snap yourself out of it?
Sometimes it is still really hard, I'll be honest, but for the most part, if I'm like, say in the morning, if I get up and I'm not feeling breakfast, I'll make sure I have some fruit or something, just put something in my body, and then, or just make sure I start the day with like something positive. And I feel like if I start my day with something positive, it kind of sets the tone for the rest of my day. I try and make sure I hit like kind of my exercise goals and stuff every day, just because that kind of helps me feel better. When I'm like not in the mood really, I kind of just try and do things that like make me happy. So like it could be like, say, drawing, or going for a walk with one of my friends, or playing with the dog, or like spending time out in like with our horses, like just doing stuff that makes like me happy. And I find that when I have like kind of things that cheer me up and I don't get myself into kind of slumps, because when I'm down in these slumps is when I really struggle with these sort of issues. So trying to motivate myself to go for that walk, or go play with the dog, or go see the horses when I just don't feel like doing anything, is something that really, really helps when I'm kind of starting to feel myself slide. So I just find if I catch myself before I kind of hit the downward slide, I kind of have better like results with it.
Yeah, of course. And have you noticed much of a change over maybe the past 5 or so years in the surf industry for women?
I think for the most part, it's been a positive change. Like, there is like campaigns now, for example, like the Rip Curl one we're going to talk about soon. That's very, very positive. And I feel like even on social media, there's been a shift towards like the body positivity and feeling good in your skin. And there's definitely been a shift, I think, in realizing that not everyone's paid to be a fitness influencer. Not everyone's paid to live, eat, breathe healthy food and gyms. Like, I feel like there's a lot of people now that are normalizing normal bodies. And achievable bodies and things that are like normal. Like, you don't you're not expected to look like, I think, an influencer. And even those influencers don't look like the influencer they put on their social media. And I think that the shift towards kind of that body positivity movement has like rippled through all industries, not even just the surf industry. And I think it's a very positive thing, especially for young girls coming into this, like specifically surfing. I think it's a very good thing that they have that kind of guidance that we didn't have when we were younger and coming through that scene, and it was still very, very sexualized.
Yeah. And so touch briefly on the Rip Curl Summer Looks Good on You campaign. Can you tell us a bit about this movement that Rip Curl's brought out this summer?
Yeah, so it's actually really exciting. I found out about it as a team rider just over a year ago. So it's been in motion for a long time, and it kind of got its first little injection summer last year. And I feel like this kind of movement is really, really important because it's just normalizing everybody's different. And it's basically saying everybody is a bikini body. And I 100% agree with that. Like for part of the Summer Looks Good on You campaign, they've got their bikini fit guide. And the models in this campaign are actually all staff from the head office of Rip Curl. So all different bodies, all different backgrounds, all different shapes and sizes in these, like advertising the products that we love and we wear every day. And I think it's so important to have models like that are just everyday people and it's not their job to look like that. They work at Rip Curl and they're not fitting some beauty standard, because I think everybody is beautiful in their own way. And I think this campaign really encapsulates that by presenting these people, and everybody's different. And like the bikini fit guide, for example, you scan like a little QR code and it takes you online and it asks you if you want like surf bikinis or style bikinis. It goes through, say, your cup size, your body shape, what kind of bikini or one piece you want, and then it gives you a whole set of styles that you might be happy with. It asks you like what cut you want, whether it's full coverage, like cheeky coverage. And like, I think that's really important because it just shows that there's options there for everybody.
Yeah.
And models that are all different shapes and sizes just kind of makes it inclusive for everyone as well. Because you see someone that looks like you and you're like, oh, she can wear that, I can wear that too.
Yeah, I definitely noticed, I guess, in the past 8 years, just shopping for cozies, bikinis, it's so hard to find a bikini these days that actually covers like everything. You know, they're just getting smaller and smaller. Yeah. So I think this is a really positive movement that I hope lots of people support and get around. Rip Curl's an Australian company as well, so you know, home brand, which is also really good. So yeah, props to them. I think that's really exciting, and I hope that lots of people are influenced by that campaign and can be a lot more comfortable. What are some tips or advice that you would give maybe some teenage girls or boys that are dealing with body image issues at the moment? As
much as it's easy to say, just try and find things when you're looking, say, in a mirror, find the things that you like about yourself instead of focusing on the things you don't like. I found putting like sticky notes and stuff on your mirror with like little positive things, and just really focusing on things that make you happy rather than things that are going to just make you feel like crap. I just think that now looking back, I wish I could have told my teenage self, like, no one actually really cares. Like, it's a lot of it is all in your head, and there might be those one or two people that are not very nice and that just kind of puts you back where you were, but no one else really cares. Everyone's got their own sort of things going on that they're not paying that much attention to you. And I wish that I realized it so much sooner, because it would have made my life a lot easier. But that's kind of how I deal with it now too. Like, I'm struggling with that still at times, but everyone's got their issues that they're struggling with, and will be focusing on their own problems rather than say, looking at you and being like, oh, well, that bikini doesn't look nice, or those board shorts are a bit long, or like something like that. It's just like, yeah, people don't really care. I really wish that someone told me that when I was younger.
Yeah, cool. No, thank you so much. And remember, guys, if you are struggling with body image issues or your self-confidence, please reach out to someone and seek help. You can always hit up the Headspace, Kids Helpline, or Lifeline. But most importantly, speak to your family or someone you trust, your best friend. I'm sure they'll be really supportive for you. So Kiara, to finish off today, have you got any tips for anyone learning to surf? Anyone who wants to get out there this summer, where do you start?
My biggest tip is just go for it. Like, honestly, it's the most fun ever. A few tips: the bigger the board, the better to start with. That's probably my biggest tip. It's just going to be so much easier. If you're going to go to the beach, just make sure you go somewhere. Usually I'd say gauge where the surf is out far in the water, put yourself waist deep in line with them, because that's where the sandbank's going to be rather than a rip. I don't know, just have fun with it. It's something you just got to be patient with, because it's something you'll make a lot of progress with and then slow down for a bit, and then you'll make a lot of progress again and then you'll slow down again. So I just say, just be consistent with it, keep with it. So much fun, something that you'll fall in love with, get the bug. I feel like that's what people say, you get the bug with it.
Yeah, definitely.
It's addictive, I think. Something that once you do it once, you'll just want to keep going back for more.
And it's a hobby that you can travel the world with. So it's pretty special, definitely. Well, thank you so much for sharing your special story with us, Kiara. I hope that it will share a positive message with teenagers or anyone who's going through some confidence issues in their life. So thank you for opening up to us, because I know it's not always easy. But yeah, we really appreciate it. So thank you, Kiara.
No problem at all.